Bitcoin is now at $99,000 and we came within inches of hitting that 100K mark. Yesterday's Fed meeting went exactly as predicted, but Trump may be about to announce a new trade deal. In today's video, we'll be discussing exactly that, going over the recent Bitcoin price action and looking at the most important levels that you need to pay attention to for your trading. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So the Fed meeting went exactly as we could have imagined. Rates stayed the same at 4.5% and quantitative tightening does continue. Bitcoin dominance will likely continue to go up. It's still not the time for alts. Now, we'll get into this later in the video, but this is exactly what everyone was expecting. Rates staying the same and quantitative tightening to continue. Now, before we get to the charts, what is the big news? Well, it looks like the UK and US may be coming along for a trade deal. Trump said this on Truth Social. The agreement with the United Kingdom is a full and comprehensive one that will cement the relationship between the United States and the UK for many years to come. Because of our long-time history and allegiance together, it is a great honor to have the United Kingdom as our first announcement. Many other deals which are in serious stages of negotiations to follow. And of course, what did this give us? Bitcoin absolutely pumped. Now let me go on the shorter time frame here to show you exactly what happened. This was when we held this all-important level as support, and then we got a massive pump to the upside. As I'm recording this video, it's a huge green daily candle for Bitcoin. Now, what am I looking at in terms of medium-term trading here? Look, I was always clear. This is the all-important level. Right now, this is a weekly chart, but if I go on the daily, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This was the previous breakdown region, which we discussed on the channel at length. If we were to come back into this region and hold it as support, that is time to target new all-time highs. But until then, I am not getting too excited. Well, what can we see? Bitcoin got a massive pump, and we even pumped above this region temporarily before we came back down. But ultimately, this is still very much a nice green daily candle. Let's see how things materialize, but right now, I'm liking what I'm seeing for Bitcoin. And this is why we discussed buying Bitcoin and Ethereum right near the bottoms when everyone was fearful, because no one knows exactly what could happen. Could we have gone lower here? Yes, of course, it was always a possibility. But with the fact that we went ahead and aligned with this previous trend line all the way up here, it only made sense that buying around this region was a great risk to reward opportunity. We bought Ethereum below $1,600, and then we went ahead and bought some more below $1,400. As I shared on the channel as well a few weeks ago, we also bought Bitcoin right around 75K. Now, is this the move that will send us to all-time highs? Right now, it's hard to tell because it's not just Bitcoin that's at critical resistance, but we also have stocks, which we will discuss later in the video. But so far, so good. This is an excellent move. And as we discussed in my previous videos when we were looking for a quick short right around this region, the key area to take profits would have been right around 93.7K to 93.3K. Why? Because that's the previous area where we held as support before moving higher back into this breakdown range. But also a key level here is, of course, the yearly open. Now, you can't see this. Let me move this for you right here. Look, the yearly open was right at this blue line, and we wicked perfectly to it, only to pump much, much higher back into this breakdown zone. I want to make sure that I'm always sharing some level-headed analysis with you, but ultimately, this is looking very positive. We hold this level as support, and Bitcoin is going much, much higher, as we've been discussing on the channel. Now, if we look at both charts here, we can see that Bitcoin is starting to get a little bit of a rejection at the top of this breakdown region, but ultimately the candle is still looking very strong. If I take you on this other chart here, which is a little bit more detailed, we can see that right as we peaked above this level, we're starting to get a little bit of resistance. As I said, it was never going to be an easy battle. Thus far, we pumped into the breakdown region, got rejected, held the yearly open as support, and now it looks like Bitcoin does want to move higher. But there are still some concerns as to how the trade deals and this tariff stuff can develop. There's a lot of people that are saying that perhaps the economy have not yet felt the effects of this tariff stuff. So I don't want you to get way too excited. Make sure you're level-headed, especially in this region, because this breakdown region will be the most important region to keep your eyes on. If we break above here and hold it as support, as I said, send it to the moon. Now, outside of this, I do want to quickly go over the ETH Bitcoin chart, and we can see that if we zoom in down here, we are getting a nice little pump from the range lows that we established all the way back at the end of the year in 2019. So ultimately, as we discussed on the channel several times, this was a pretty high risk to reward area to swap some of your Bitcoin for Ethereum as we hope to get some outperformance. Now, of course, since we're still in quantitative tightening, there is a chance that we come back and revisit the lows for another retest. As we can see, this pink line is the Fed's balance sheet, which is continuing to go down. Usually, you want to see this going up for ETH Bitcoin to see sustained upwards movement and for the rest of the altcoin market to really rally. Right now, I would still recommend that you're a little bit cautious here. There will be some alts that will outperform, of course, but I still think that Bitcoin dominance will continue to increase. And that brings me to a next message. We can see that a couple people are already talking about the Bitcoin dominance dump. Crypto Kid here says, I think Bitcoin dominance just topped out. Expect altcoins to run for the next 2 to 3 weeks. This is a little bit of a more realistic view compared to Raul Paul. I think Bitcoin dominance topped today. There are daily, weekly, and monthly tops in place, and the top is well below the 2021 top, and that was below the 2017 top. If that plays out, it is the hallmark of the next phase of the banana zone, which he's been talking about extensively. That being said, I respect both of these opinions, but I still don't think that the Bitcoin dominance train is quite over yet. The reason being, we are still in quantitative tightening. So of course, we can always have periods where Bitcoin dominance does come back down, and maybe we drop a little bit towards this trend line and then we pump back up. But I think that it's inevitable that we do continue to pump because of monetary policy. We've been talking about this on the channel since day one. Make sure you don't get shaken out with alts. And of course, when it's time to actually get into altcoins, or at least when I'm getting into altcoins, I will of course keep you updated on the channel. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, smash that notification bell, because every single day I'll be sharing with you some crypto alpha. So let's go back on these trade deals. So we know that the UK and the US are about to announce their trade deal, but we did see this come out just recently. US-UK trade pact will leave the 10% US tariff in place. So what exactly are they getting out of this? Right before I recorded this video, I did read that most of this trade deal will have to do with the auto industry. So we'll have to see how that develops. And right now people are just laughing about it because the 10% tariff is still in place. But ultimately, Bitcoin is still holding pretty well. You just want to be careful here. If you weren't already in a long position, I would certainly not recommend that you get in one now. Wait till we at least hold this level as support, and then we can target 102K, 106K, and beyond. But until then, we are not out of the clear quite yet. And this is not just for Bitcoin, because if we take a look at the stock market, we can see, as I've been talking about on the channel over and over again, we are still below the 200-day moving average. We are not quite in the clear yet. And as we can see, we're also below the bull market support band. We would likely need to hold these two levels as support before we can expect continuation for the stock market. Otherwise, my main concern and my main thesis that we've been talking about on the channel here is that we potentially keep on getting rejected at the 200-day moving average like we saw back in 2022. As we can see, a nice pump to the upside above the 200-day moving average. Then we came back down. Then we went ahead and saw another retest of it, only to come back further, make our low, and only then was the bottom in and we started moving much higher. If this plays out similarly, there's a chance that we go ahead and get rejected at this region, chop around, maybe we retest it again, and then make a new low for the stock market. Now, this isn't necessarily my base case, but what I'm telling you to do is just wait until we get confirmation. Who cares whether you bought around here or whether you bought after a confirmation of the 200-day moving average? Of course, this isn't financial advice, but personally, that's my strategy in terms of trading. I look to trade when we have those confirmations. Now, in terms of buying the bottoms, obviously, it's very difficult to time the bottoms perfectly, but as I said, you want to be buying spot when we start seeing fear in the market. And there was a ton of fear around this region. I mean, I was also potentially looking to fill a little bit lower than these wicks, but of course the markets aren't always perfect. That's when we bought some Bitcoin here from my spot bag and we kept on trading these regions. This is also something that I shared in my free Telegram. You want to have two different types of portfolios. One, your spot bag, which is very easy. All you do is you buy when there's max fear in the market, especially in assets that you believe in like Bitcoin and stocks, for example. And then you have your trading portfolio where you can try to make some short-term gains when we hit those resistance levels and when we confirm those support levels. That's how I navigate this market. And if you haven't already, make sure to join my free Telegram group down below. I share a little bit more intimate details as to how I'm navigating this market. Okay, so Bitcoin and stocks have pumped, but they're now at key resistance levels. Let me just show you something that does concern me a little bit as we try to get a breakout here. And that is the Bitcoin exchange liquidation map. We've covered this on the channel extensively, and this gives me a great insight as to whether I should be going long or short based on what market participants are doing. I know everyone's euphoric right now, but if Bitcoin were to dump down to $83,000, I know you probably can't imagine that right now, but we would literally get around $21 billion worth of cumulative long liquidation leverage. And right now, on the other side of the equation, if Bitcoin pumps to all-time highs, we get below $3 billion worth of cumulative short liquidation leverage. So this ratio is way out of whack, and this typically tells me that we will likely get some kind of correction. Now, it doesn't have to be a sharp pullback all the way down to 83K. Perhaps we drop down to 91 to 92K. And why am I suggesting that level? Well, we just filled the CME gap to the upside, which was right around $97,000. But what do you notice? We still have a pretty big gap here between $91,000 and $93,000. Would it really surprise you if Bitcoin cools off a little bit before it goes ahead and moves on higher? Again, I need to reemphasize that this doesn't necessarily have to happen, but usually when you see this kind of leverage, you want to be cautious. And this is also why I keep on telling you, at this key breakdown region, you do not want to be aggressive with your trading. You can do a couple scalps here and there, but ultimately make sure that you're holding on to your wins and don't turn them into losses, because right now, this is a key level that could potentially shake everyone out. Until proven otherwise, and until we can hold this area as support, I am not going to be blindly bullish like everyone else is on the timeline. But with some trade deals starting to come around, we cannot neglect the fact that this is some very positive price action for Bitcoin. I hope for my spot portfolio that we just continue to pump, but right now we are at crucial resistance for Bitcoin and also for the stock market. Let's see how it plays out. Make sure that you're not getting overly excited here. I know it can get very easy to do so with all of the influencers in the crypto space telling you that we will just immediately pump, and it's really that easy. Now let's wrap up the video with some more positive news, and that is that the Arizona governor officially signs a law to establish a Bitcoin reserve fund. They are now state number 2, as we can see on the Bitcoin Laws website. So now we have Arizona and New Hampshire that have both enacted a strategic Bitcoin reserve for their respective states. Let's see the rest of the states hopefully aligning and getting this done as well, but ultimately this is very positive medium to long term for Bitcoin. Back to the Bitcoin chart before I close out this video. Right now we can see that we are still below that key resistance area, but man, was this an excellent pump. If you managed to trade this short that we called on the channel and took your profits here, and then you even went long, this is not necessarily a bad idea to take some profits on that long trade. And that reminds me, if you want to trade Bitcoin, you have the first link in my description down below. There is a brand new promotion for you on Weeks. Signing up with my link and my link alone, the first 100 users could get a $100 bonus if you connect your phone number and your email to your account. And based on your trading volume, you can also earn up to $30,000 in rewards. So if you're a whale, make sure to also go ahead and sign up with the first link in my description down below, because Weeks gives you the best possible rewards in the industry. And that sums up today's video. Despite the hawkish outlook from the Fed, Bitcoin went ahead and pumped inches away from $100,000, making an excellent trade. We are now still at key critical resistance at the top of this breakdown range, and stocks are looking to target their 200-day moving average. If we can break above these regions and hold them as support, all-time high is imminent for Bitcoin. But be careful with trading here, because this is ultimately where traders could get shaken out, as we have seen by the liquidation leverage. A lot of people are going long. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.